The alarm went off at 5:45 this morning. I did not move. I just stared at the ceiling for 5 straight minutes, wondering why I set it that early in the first place. You know that feeling when your brain is awake, but your body refuses to acknowledge reality. That was me today. I had this grand plan in my head. I was going to wake up early. I was going to meditate for 10 minutes. I was going to make a healthy green smoothie. I was going to be that organized, productive person you see in aesthetic morning routines. But life, as usual, had very different plans for me today. I finally pulled myself out of bed. The floor was freezing cold. My slippers were nowhere near the bed, which meant I had to do that awkward half jog across the room to the kitchen. The apartment was completely silent. That is honestly my favorite part of the morning. No car horns outside yet. No notifications buzzing on my phone. Just quiet air and the faint light coming through the blinds. I turned on the stove to boil water for my morning tea. I need that warmth in my hands before I can even function as a human being. While the water was heating up, I opened the fridge to grab some milk. And that was moment number one where things went downhill. The milk carton was completely empty. Not almost empty, completely dry. I stood there, staring into the fridge with the door wide open, questioning every single life decision I made yesterday when I decided not to stop by the grocery store. So black tea it was. I poured the hot water into my favorite ceramic mug, the one with the chipped handle on the right side. I walked out to the small balcony. The air outside was crisp, slightly damp from the night before. The sun was just starting to peek over the rooftops, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pale blue. I took a slow sip. It was bitter, but it woke me up immediately. I sat on the plastic chair outside, listening to the neighborhood slowly come to life. An old man downstairs was walking his dog. A stray cat was sitting on top of a car hood across the street, grooming its paws without a care in the world. I thought to myself, this is going to be a simple day. I will clean up the desk, finish some pending work, run 2 small errands, and cook a nice dinner tonight. It sounded so easy on paper. By 7:30, I went back inside to make some breakfast. I decided to make some simple toast and scrambled eggs, nothing fancy. I put 2 slices of bread into the toaster and turned the dial. While waiting, I cracked 2 eggs into a small bowl, added a pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper, and started whisking. Just as I poured the eggs into the hot pan, the toaster popped. But instead of golden brown toast, a thick stream of dark smoke came out of the slots. I had forgotten to reset the heat dial from the night before. The bread was completely black on both sides. Not slightly burnt, but charcoal level burnt. The smoke detector did not go off, thank goodness, but the smell of burnt crust filled the entire kitchen instantly. I rushed to open the kitchen window, waving a dish towel around like crazy. The eggs on the pan got overcooked in the chaos. I stood there by the counter, holding a plate of dry, rubbery eggs and 2 pieces of burnt toast. I could not help but laugh. There I was, 30 minutes into my day, already ruining the simplest breakfast on earth. I scraped off the black crust with a butter knife, sat at the kitchen table, and ate my mediocre breakfast anyway. You have to learn to laugh at these little messes, otherwise, you will spend your whole morning in a bad mood. After finishing breakfast, I cleared the table and did the dishes. I really try not to leave dirty plates in the sink because seeing a pile of dishes later in the afternoon just ruins my energy. The warm, soapy water felt nice on my hands. I wiped down the counters, opened all the windows to let the fresh morning air flush out the burnt smell, and took a deep breath. Around 8:15, I stepped into the shower. A warm shower always resets my mind. It washes away the morning clumsiness. I put on my usual comfortable clothes, a soft oversized gray t-shirt, and my favorite pair of faded denim jeans. Nothing complicated, just something I can move around in without feeling restricted. I sat down at my work desk at 9 o'clock sharp. My desk faces a small window that overlooks the street below. I opened my notebook to write down my to-do list for the day. 3 major tasks for work, 1 package to pick up from the post office, and picking up some groceries so I do not suffer without milk tomorrow morning. I opened my laptop, put my headphones on, and hit play on a soft instrumental playlist. For the first 2 hours, everything actually went smoothly. I typed out a couple of drafts, replied to important emails, and organized my digital files. The sun was getting brighter outside, streaming through the glass and warming up my desk. I was feeling quite proud of myself. I thought, maybe the morning disaster was just a temporary glitch. Maybe today is going to be super productive after all. Around 11:30, my stomach started rumbling. But more importantly, my laptop screen suddenly flickered and went completely black. I froze. My fingers were still on the keyboard. I pressed the power button once. Nothing. I plugged the charger into a different wall socket, thinking maybe the outlet died. Still nothing. A sudden wave of panic hit my chest. I had not saved the last document I was working on for the past 45 minutes. I stared at the dark screen, feeling that heavy sinking sensation in my stomach. I took off my headphones and placed them on the desk. I sat back in my chair, closed my eyes, and took 3 slow, deep breaths. Panicking never fixed a single machine in human history. I decided to leave the laptop alone for a few minutes. Sometimes electronics just overheat or need a hard restart. I held the power button down for 20 seconds straight. Suddenly, the little fan inside whirred to life. The Apple logo appeared on the screen. The screen lit up again, and by some miracle, the autosave feature had saved almost everything, except the last 2 sentences. I let out the loudest sigh of relief. That was enough screen time for the morning. My shoulders were tense, my neck felt stiff, and my eyes were tired from staring at the bright pixels. I decided that this was the universe telling me to step outside, get some fresh air, and take care of the errands on my list. I grabbed my tote bag, checked my pockets for my wallet and keys, and slipped into my everyday walking sneakers. As I opened the front door, I checked the sky. It was completely overcast now. The blue morning sky had vanished, replaced by heavy gray clouds hanging low over the city. It looked like it could rain at any second. I thought about going back inside to grab an umbrella, but the stubborn voice in my head said, "No, you will only be out for 30 minutes. You will be fine." Keep that thought in mind, because that decision came back to bite me later. I walked down the 3 flights of stairs instead of taking the elevator. I like taking the stairs when I leave. It makes me feel like I am getting at least some movement into my routine. When I pushed open the heavy glass door of the building lobby, the cool outside breeze hit my face. It smelled like asphalt and distant rain. The streets were quite busy. Cars were crawling through traffic. People were walking briskly with their heads down, rushing to wherever they needed to be. I love observing people during this time of day. Everyone has their own destination, their own worries, their own quiet stories unfolding behind their eyes. You pass a stranger on the sidewalk for half a second, and you will probably never see them again in your entire life. There is something strange and beautiful about that. My first stop was the local post office, which is about 4 blocks away from my building. It is a tiny old brick building wedged between a bakery and a shoe repair shop. When I stepped inside, the little bell above the door chimed softly. The place smelled like aged paper, cardboard, and damp dust. There was a line of about 5 people ahead of me. An elderly lady in front of me was trying to send a parcel to her grandson for his birthday. She was chatting warmly with the postal worker behind the counter, explaining every single item she packed inside the box. Knitted socks, homemade cookies, a handwritten letter. The postal worker was nodding patiently, taping up the edges of the box with extra care. Normally, standing in a slow-moving line would make me feel restless and impatient. I would be checking the time on my phone every 30 seconds. But today, standing there watching this grandmother talk about her grandson, I felt a sudden sense of calm. I put my phone back in my pocket. I just stood there and watched the scene unfold. Sometimes, being forced to slow down is the best thing that can happen to you. We are always in such a rush to get to the next task, the next hour, the next phase of life, that we forget to just exist in the moment right in front of us. When it was finally my turn, I handed over my tracking slip. The clerk went to the back room and brought out a medium-sized brown cardboard package. It was a new microphone cable and a book I ordered 2 weeks ago. I tucked the box under my arm, thanked the clerk with a genuine smile, and stepped back out onto the street. The moment my feet touched the pavement, the first drop of rain hit the bridge of my nose, then another drop hit my shoulder. Within 10 seconds, the sky opened up. It was not a gentle drizzle. It was a sudden, heavy afternoon downpour. People around me started running under shop awnings for shelter. I looked down at my cardboard package. If I stayed in the open, the box would turn to mush in 3 minutes. I had no umbrella because I chose to leave it behind. I had to run. I bolted down the sidewalk, holding the package tightly against my chest to shield it from the rain. My sneakers were splashing into puddles, soaking my socks instantly. That cold, squelchy feeling inside your shoes is truly one of the most uncomfortable feelings in the world. I saw a small coffee shop with a dark green canvas awning about 50 meters ahead. I sprinted toward it and ducked under the shelter just in time. My hair was damp, my t-shirt was sticking to my shoulders, and I was breathing heavily. I looked at the package under my arm. The corners were a bit soft from the moisture, but the contents were completely dry. I looked down at my soaked shoes and burst out laughing right there on the sidewalk. Two people standing next to me under the awning looked at me like I had completely lost my mind. Instead of waiting under the awning feeling miserable and wet, I turned around and looked through the glass window of the coffee shop. It looked warm and inviting inside. Golden light was glowing from small pendant lamps hanging over wooden tables. The smell of freshly ground roasted coffee drifted out every time someone opened the door. I pushed the door open. A blast of warm air wrapped around me. The sound of smooth jazz was playing quietly in the background, blending with the low murmur of conversations and the steady hiss of the espresso steam wand. I walked up to the counter. The barista, a young guy with round glasses and a friendly smile, looked at my damp clothes and gave a sympathetic chuckle. He said, "Caught in the rain without an umbrella, huh?" I said, "Yes, completely my own fault for trusting the clouds." I decided right then and there to break my routine. I was supposed to pick up groceries and head straight home to finish work, but my clothes were damp, I was tired, and rushing home felt like the wrong choice. I ordered a hot cappuccino with oat milk and a warm cinnamon roll from the glass display case. I carried my tray to a small corner table near the back window. The table was made of dark polished wood, with a tiny ceramic vase holding a single dried flower. I placed my wet cardboard package on the empty chair beside me. I wrapped both hands around the warm ceramic coffee cup. The heat seeped into my cold palms instantly. I took a slow sip. The foam was thick and velvety, the coffee rich and slightly sweet. It felt like an instant hug from the inside out. Then I took a bite of the cinnamon roll. It was warm, soft, perfectly spiced, and had just the right amount of glaze on top. I sat there for almost an hour. I did not pull out my phone. I did not open my laptop. I just watched the rain outside stream down the glass window pane. The water droplets chased each other down the